Okay, so you've decided that you want to simplify your house, but where do you start? You know, I used to say the kitchen because it's kind of like our command center. And then I said, well, pick an area that's really causing you a lot of pain in your house right now. But now I've actually changed it yet again. I'll share with you the #1 place I think you should start coming up next. Well, hi, I'm Dawn from theminimalmom.com. My husband, Tom, and our 4 kids, we are self-labeled minimalists. And so basically we've just found a way to only keep the things in our house that add value to our life and that we use every day. And so it's been awesome for us, and I've really enjoyed getting to share tips and tricks about how you can simplify your house really quickly as well. And so one of the last videos I posted was about why I became a minimalist. And so after that, there was quite a few questions about where's the best place to start if you want to pursue a simplified lifestyle, and also what to do if you get stuck. So today I'm going to talk about where to start, and then I'll also tackle the other question of what to do when you get stuck coming up. And so I'll link to that video down below. But you know, I used to say start with the kitchen. I know a lot of people have mentioned that they followed the Fly Lady early on in their journey, and she was one of my first inspirations to kind of get my house in order as well. And so she is all about the kitchen, shining your sink, and getting that in order. So she was a real inspiration, and I think that's what part of what led me to always say the kitchen. It's like your command center for life, right? We all spend a lot of time there, and so if it's a simplified space, then you know, a lot of things function better. And I still think that's good advice, but now I realize, one, there's no blanket answer or one-size-fits-all answer to this question. So I want to break it down depending on what life stage you're in. So let's move forward based on where you're at in life right now and talk about what might be the best place to start. Okay, so like I mentioned before, when I first started this journey, I was a stay-at-home mom with 3 and then 4 kids. And so I think if you're in that similar stage, whether you're able to stay home with your kids or not, I think there's 2 things that would make a really big impact right away and don't require a lot of time investment. So those 2 things would be toys and clothing, both kids' clothing and your own clothing. But again, I have, you know, these videos about both of those topics, about how you can simplify really quickly. And there's been some fun testimonies too about moms who have been implementing these and what a big difference it's made. And here's the other thing about kids' clothes and their toys. I don't know how it is in your house, but for us, they kind of like permeated the whole house, right? So there was kind of a little bit of all of them everywhere all of the time. Bathrooms and bedrooms and living room and laundry room. And so it actually, if you can gather all this together and simplify these 2 areas, which you can do pretty quickly, it can feel like you've really impacted the whole house. And so I do think that it can be a really encouraging place to start. Okay, so then let's jump to the other end of the spectrum. Maybe you're an empty nester, or your kids are old enough where they're able to help manage some of their own things. I think your wardrobe might be an awesome place to start. And again, you know, this technique that I use for simplifying kids' clothes works awesome for adult clothes too. You know, where you just go in, pick out a handful of favorites that you wear every day and just try it. You know, again, if we're just putting stuff in a box that can get donated later, once we've had a chance to see if we're gonna, you know, if this simplified wardrobe is gonna work or not, then it just takes away a lot of the fear of it. But the hope then too, once you simplify your wardrobe, is that you get to experience what actually having an area of your life minimalized and being minimalist in that area is like. Because a lot of times we watch minimalists, we read about them and you know what it looks like. You know, we can see pictures and videos now of people's homes, but we haven't actually experienced it for ourselves. And so I think your wardrobe is a really awesome place where really quickly you can see what it feels like to have fewer decisions in the morning. You just have limited options, and then it'll start to work in other areas of your life as well. Okay, but the area I really want to talk about today is if you find yourself in the boat where you have kids, maybe they're a little bit older and they're in a lot of activities, or your schedule has gotten busier. Because sometimes I think when we find ourselves in that stage, our house being out of order is sometimes a byproduct of a really busy schedule. And so I think in that case, your schedule is actually where you need to start. And I know how it goes, you know, where it just kind of slowly fills up and creeps in. It's like your kids join a sports team and it's like, okay, it's this many hours a week, but then the other parents say, oh, but all the kids are going to go to this camp, you know, and oh, we've added some extra practices. Sometimes we go into this and we agree to it, but Wouldn't it be nice if on the registration form, if it actually said, okay, we kind of make it look like it's, 6 to 8 hours a week, but actually by the time you add in driving and the extra practices we're going to add, and oh, that tournament that's out of town and all of these things, this is actually what it's going to cost, and this is actually how much time you're going to put into it. And these are how many meals you're going to eat out because you don't have time to cook at home. This is what your house is going to look like during this sporting season because we're just so busy and we don't have time, for it. And yeah, there might be a little, impact on other relationships. Date nights probably not going to happen, and don't even get me started if, we want to try and fit in exercise in there or eating healthy, or if we have any spiritual values that we want to instill in our children, right? And so I'm exaggerating, but I'm not, right? And we're all in different places. If you are happy with your schedule right now, then this isn't for you. But if we've kind of just found ourselves where it just creeps in and it just fills up more, and then we have another child that we're adding to the sports schedule and different things, I would say it might be a good time just to really take a look at our schedule and either say, maybe this isn't the best time to also tackle simplifying my house, or maybe it's time that we reeled the schedule back in and made some tough decisions, right? It's not easy, especially when we're getting peer pressured from other parents. I mean, we had a friend that wanted us to join Girl Scouts, right? That is a great organization. I mean, there's so many things that are so good about it, and I know my daughters would have enjoyed it too. But when I really looked at the commitment, I couldn't do it. And she kept asking. She offered to drive, said it's not going to be a big cost, anything like that. But I couldn't do it. And so I know that there's outside pressure. There's pressure from our kids when their friends are in it and everyone else is doing it. But here's the other thing about our schedule. If we try to simplify when we're too busy, I think a lot of times we underestimate that it actually requires quite a bit of emotional energy to simplify our house. It's really not all that different from when we try and change our eating habits or our exercise habits. A lot of times we have these old habits that can be kind of tough to break. And so if we try to incorporate this new way of living when we're already kind of taxed with our schedule, what I don't want to happen is for you to start it and say, oh, this didn't work for us, and then it goes by the wayside, when really the problem, it's not that you're not capable of doing it, it's just that it wasn't the right time. So maybe that coming up you'll be able to simplify your schedule more, or things will just change in your life, that you're going to have some more time that you can dedicate this and more energy to dedicate to it. Well, let's plan to do it then. Keep learning all the things you can in the meantime, and then make a game plan to attack it then, so you're not setting yourself up for failure now. Okay, so like I said, these are just ideas from experience with my own life, but then also things that you've shared too. So I do hope that you can relate to some aspect of this. And like I said, coming up next, we're going to talk about what to do if you've started the simplifying process, but feel like you've kind of gotten stuck or stalled out. So that's coming up next.